Welcome to the service clinic at Low Country Harley-Davidson. I'm Doc Harley. I'm working on a 1995 Classic. Gentleman had some starting issues, so I had to get to the starter relay, which is located in the fairing here. And I'm working on it and replacing the relay that is located here. And of course, they have the circuit breakers here and the fuses. But while I'm working on this 95, I noticed something that maybe some of you don't know. In 1995, they had a grease fitting. We call it a Zert fitting, but a grease fitting right here at the neck that you would pump full of chassis lube that would keep the Timken bearing down here and the Timken bearing up there full of grease. Yeah, the whole thing would be full of grease, and we would see it come out in the bottom part and the top part of the tree, and we know that these are covered up with grease. Now, Harley-Davidson started using these grease fittings back in 1941. And throughout the years, they put them in several places. The earliest models of swing arms had one down below underneath. And then on this model, 1995 Classic, Harley-Davidson put a grease fitting here at the shifter to keep grease on the two bushings on either side. And then also on this model, on the right side, they put a grease fitting way down below. You have to almost get underneath to see that it's here on the brake to keep the bushings in the brake pedal lubed up. I thought it was a fantastic idea. Every service you go in, pop it full of little chassis lube, and it would be great. Now, what models had this? Well, several different models had these grease fittings, but over the years they got less and less and less. Let's see, 1941 till 2013, grease fittings a lot in the neck area. The gear shifter, they started changing when they changed the bushings and said, no, I'm not going to put a grease fitting there. And the brake pedal, the same thing. They changed the bushing material and decided they didn't need that fitting. Let's see, Softails, 1984, they started the grease fitting up here at the neck, and it went all the way to 2017 with some models having the grease fitting there. So it really helped keeping the neck bearings in good condition. Sportsters, sporadically in different places, 1957 to I think 78, and then 2003. The early ones had them around the gear shifter. When the gear shifter went from the right side over to the left side, they had Zert fittings there, and a few Sportster had them in someplace else. The Dynas never had Zert fittings up at the neck because they redesigned the neck and the backbone of the Dyna hollow, so the wiring would go through. So you won't find a Zert fitting up front on a Dyna, but a Softail, yes, some touring models up to 2013, and some early Sportsters. So if you own something like that, it might be unique to look. So how do you look? Most of the Zert fittings for the neck are on the left side. So take your handlebars, turn them all the way to the right, and then look up there. Some were at 90 degrees, so you could get to it with a fitting easily. Some were straight out. A couple of touring models had it straight in front, and you had to take the fairing off. So you're going to have to look. If you have these Zert fittings, grease fittings, get yourself some chassis lube and keep things lubed up. They will last a lot longer than the non-Zert fittings, in my opinion. I wish Harley would have kept these. And when we ask Harley, well, why did you take the grease fittings away? Well, some say it's because the material has changed and they don't need that flooding of grease. Some said cost. The inside story from some of the assembly people, it was a mess. It slowed down the assembly line. I mean, you know, you're pumping it full until the grease comes out, and then you got to wipe it off and, you know, clean it up, and it slowed down the assembly line. So they said, we can't have that. We got to produce as many and as fast as we can. Many reasons, but if you happen to have an older model with a grease fitting, use it. I'm Doc Harley. We'll see you next time.